Let's do a walkthrough of how to use CNCMotion in order to simulate some GNM codes that we've created in order to machine out initials into a block. First thing we're going to notice here that when you open up CNCMotion, you may see this flashing red error report. And if you click this, it'll tell you what kind of issue is going on. So right now this says the shield is open and we need to close the shield or to be able to operate the spindle or run a program. So one thing you'll see here is usually if you don't see this program one screen, you can always click this little piece of paper icon up here in order to be able to see what kind of new program you can add in. And you can see it's just really like a text box kind of scenario where you can type in your code manually in order to do that. Now, if you've already typed your code into another kind of application like WordPad or Microsoft Word, you can always copy and paste that into there. And what we can see here is in this screen, we have the 3D image. So right now, if I hold my right mouse button, I can actually drag it around and be able to see this is our bench mill. So this is if I zoom in here, I'm just moving my mouse around. You'll see that it has a end mill already installed in the spindle. Here is a red block that is inside of a vise. And I can spin around. If I roll my scroll wheel, I can actually tilt the camera up and down. That way I can kind of see what's going on. So I'm actually going to kind of position this somewhat like this. So then that way we can kind of focus on some of those things. But the shield, if you zoom out on this, as you can see, there's like a little safety shield that's set up above. If I go over here to the left side and choose the shield opener, if I click that button, it'll drop down in, and now that little error will go away and I can actually use the actual machine. All right, a few things that we're going to take a look at first is going to be, I'm going to see that up here we have a few different scenarios where we can go ahead and take a look at some things here. Number one, we need to set up our stock. So I'm going to go up here to the verify button and I'm going to click on that. It looks like the little red block with the spindle, with the end mill kind of getting ready to cut it. And I'm going to select the verify settings. Now this is going to be where we can set up on the view. We can show it as either solid or we can have a center line. So we're going to make sure that's on the solid. And then what is the preset view? I really am pretty good with the way that it's set up. So I'm going to move to the stock tab, and our blocks that we're using are going to be 3 inches wide by 2 inches tall. And the height of them is only going to be 1 inch. So I'm going to go ahead and just change that to 1 and then just go ahead and select OK. And you're going to see that the thickness of that stock is going to change. In the future, if you need to change the stock, the verify settings is going to be where that is. All right. So now that I've kind of got that, I'm going to go ahead and select cancel. And here you can see here's the verification screen. So again, I can kind of zoom in here and kind of tilt to be able to see. Now, really, when we get ready to run the machine, it's a pretty easy program to kind of work through. Is that we're going to first off go to Tools, and we want to go ahead and look at the Setup library. And we're going to see here that tool number 1 is an end mill type. It's got a 4 flute, it's high-speed steel, and you can see the diameter of it's 0.125. In some other cases, to match some other tools, like for example, you're going to see some of the other tools are undefined. This one here I've already put in as tool number 3 is a 1/4 inch end mill. For this project we've been working on, we're only going to be working with tool 1, but for future projects, we may need to go in here and edit these. So this is where you can do that. I'm going to go ahead and select OK. And then what's going to happen here is really what we have is we need to home the machine. So if I select the home button, it's going to ask me, do I want to home or do I want to quick home? Quick home just makes it really, very fast to be able to get to the home position. If I select the home button, we're going to see that it should automatically be in the home position. And down here in the actual position, the X is at 5.4488 inches. Y is at 3.4764 inches, and Z is at 4.3032 inches. So that is the machine's kind of home position. What we're going to do now is we're going to set up a new kind of home position. So right now, if I look on our block, we were using the bottom left corner as our 0 point. So I'm actually going to go up here to this button that says Send Tool to Corner. So I'm going to click it. And I'm going to go down here and I'm actually going to click on the corner of the block, and you're going to see the spindle is actually going to move to that corner. Once I have that there, I can actually go into the setup and I can select 0 position. And it says, are you sure you want to reset the 0 position on all the axes? We do. So I'm going to select yes. So now there we're going to see now the coordinates have changed and zeroed out. This is now the new 0 point. And here's the machine's coordinates. So it knows how much it's traveled. And then also here's the absolute. So what I'm going to do here is I have a set of absolute coordinates that, again, like I said, you can type these in, but I'm actually going to go into the open folder and I'm going to find those particular ones. I have a set here that I'm going to select open on, and here is my code. You can see that I've got all of the blocks numbered. So this is one of the things that CNCMotion will want to make sure that you have all these blocks numbered. If you need to renumber anything, you can always go in here and do some of those changes. But really, this is a program that I've already written, so that's why that you'll see that's kind of grayed out. I'm not able to go in and edit anything, but I can always, if I need to, copy and paste. If I needed to edit anything, go into a new program. Let me paste this in, and you can see now I get some new options to renumber and things like that. So like here, I can go in here and say renumber the encodes starting with which number and in what increment that I want to go by. And then I can say do it, and then that way it'll actually renumber all those. But here's one thing we're going to do. Now that we've got the machine set up to where we want, we can see in our verification window we don't have any kind of cuts or anything. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to hit the play button, the run button, and I'm going to go ahead and select to run the program. So you're going to be able to sit here and watch the machine actually perform its operations. It's going to say to insert tool 1. So it says we're going to press the F5 key. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then we're going to go ahead and let this go ahead and run. And you can actually watch on the 3D image in here. I'm going to kind of use the camera. You can actually watch it kind of actually machine itself, machine the block, I should say. And here in the verification, you'll see it's a little bit of a step ahead, just showing you where it's going to move next. And then that way that it can actually do that. So we're going to go ahead and watch what it does. Main thing is to watch for when you use this is what is the machine doing. So if there's anything where the machine can actually collide with anything or make any sort of movements, we can actually see that right now before we actually test it onto our actual mill. And you can kind of see what movements it's taking. In the verification window, you can kind of see where it's going. It's a little bit ahead of what the machine's doing, like I said. And we can always kind of verify and stop the machine if we see that, it's going to collide or head into something. It's getting ready to finish up my middle initial, and it's going to move on to my last initial. One thing you'll notice too is to make sure on a lot of code to help out, make sure that you have proper comments and everything as this finishes up. And that way that we make sure that we have plenty of documentation. If you need to go back and track down any sort of errors, they're easy to find. All right, so now it's finished up. We can go ahead and say this is the normal program stop. I'm going to select OK. Now, if we need to make a change or anything, we can always go in and do that. So usually what I like to do is if you need to, you can always go up here to reset the workpiece. That'll get rid of all the milling. Same thing over here in the verification window. There's a reset button that will do that too. And a quicker way to kind of look at that is you can always go up here to the verify button, and instead of running, you can actually just verify the program, which is not actually going to run the mill. And if you watch when I hit F5, it just checks it over here in the verification. Notice nothing was done here in the 3D image. So verification allows you to do something a little bit quicker and to be able to just test it out. But here you can see these are all my absolute coordinates to put my initials in this block. And this should finish up how to do a first test of our initials using absolute coordinates within CNCMotion.